Yeah, I'm finna take these side of me and go back wall.
Kodak Black didn't just complain. He detonated a narrative that the internet twisted into something far darker than it ever was. And suddenly, a $50,000 smile turned into a ticking time bomb of suspicion, loyalty, and whispers nobody could ignore. Because here's the part that should make you pause. Was this really about a grill he hated? Or did that one moment quietly expose a crack in a billion-dollar illusion hiding in plain sight? It starts simple. Too simple. October 2024. Kodak Black lands in Houston like a man on a mission, stepping straight into Johnny Dang's empire, the place where diamonds aren't just jewelry, they're identity, power, reputation. This isn't a casual purchase. This is permanent. A grill that doesn't come out, cemented into your mouth, living there. Every word, every smile, every moment, stamped with that decision. And Kodak? He walks in confident, almost hungry, moves through the store, watches the process, sits through the dental work, commits, and when it's done, he flashes it. Loud, bright, multicolored diamonds catching light from every angle like a statement nobody could ignore. For a second, everything looks perfect. Too perfect. Because the first reaction? Pure hype. Energy, approval, the kind of excitement that says, yeah, this was worth it. But here's where the story starts bending in a way that doesn't sit right. Weeks later, just weeks, Kodak goes live again. Same mouth, same grill, completely different energy, and suddenly the shine doesn't hit the same. The confidence? Gone. Replaced with something casual, almost dismissive, like the entire thing never mattered in the first place.
Hey, good kid. Yeah.
Now pause right there, because this is where people got it wrong, or maybe where they wanted to get it wrong. Kodak never screamed fake, never said scam, never accused Johnny Dang of fraud, nothing. Instead, he says something almost too simple to believe. He just didn't like it anymore. Too big, too flashy, too much. He wanted to strip it back, go gold. Clean, basic. Like a man suddenly pulling away from something that felt right, until it didn't. But here's the question nobody asked loud enough. How do you spend $50,000, fly private, go through a full dental procedure, install something permanent, and then casually decide it's not your vibe anymore? That's not just a style change. That's a pattern. Because this wasn't the first time. Kodak had already done this before. Install, remove, switch, repeat. Like grills weren't permanent decisions, but rotating costumes. And that right there, that's where the contradiction starts whispering. Because on the surface, it's just fashion, just taste, just impulse. But underneath, it's chaos disguised as confidence. A man who commits hard and then detaches just as fast. And the internet, it ignored all of that. Instead, it stored that clip, archived it, waited. Because sometimes a moment doesn't explode immediately, it waits for the right fire. And that fire? It didn't come from Kodak. It came from history, from a relationship that looked too solid to break. Because Kodak Black and Johnny Dang weren't strangers doing business. This wasn't a one-time transaction. This was years deep. Repeated link-ups, private fittings, mutual respect that felt real, not performative. Johnny Dang, the man who built his name from nothing, who helped turn grills into a cultural symbol, wasn't just a jeweler to Kodak. He was the jeweler, the one you call when it matters. And Kodak kept calling. Back in 2020, fresh out of federal prison, Kodak didn't waste time. First move, jewelry. First call, Johnny Dang. That's not coincidence. That's trust. That's loyalty. And what came out of that moment wasn't just another piece. It was something wild, something nobody had seen before.
Yeah, I'm finna take these stupid ass shits out of me and go back wall.
A diamond-covered COVID mask, over 30 carats, functional, flashy, controversial. Exactly the kind of thing you only create when both sides are locked in. Because that level of risk, that level of creativity, that only happens when there's trust behind it. And the pattern kept repeating. More visits, more pieces, more moments that didn't look like business, they looked like familiarity. Comfort, like two people who had figured each other out over time.
These big dumb man, like y'all gotta kind of brow up.
You can hear it in the way they talk. casual, loose, no tension, no distance, just conversation. That kind of energy doesn't fake itself. That builds over years. And even when Kodak clowned the grill in 2024, he still turned around later and publicly gave Johnny Dang his flowers, called him the king of bling, said nothing could take that away from him. Think about that. If there was real betrayal, real doubt, would that respect still be there? Or was something else happening? Because timelines don't lie. And this timeline, it doesn't support a falling out. It shows consistency, return visits, more work, more trust, even after the complaints, which makes everything that happens next feel even stranger. Because suddenly, in early 2026, that old clip, the one where Kodak casually said he hated the grill, gets dragged back into the spotlight. Not as context, not as a style choice, but as evidence. Evidence of something he never even claimed. And that's where the story starts twisting. Because Kodak didn't light the fire. But somehow, he became part of the smoke. And just when it felt like that old clip should have stayed buried in the past, something explosive hit the surface. Not from Kodak, not from Johnny Dang, but from a completely different voice that carried enough weight to shake the entire foundation. Because March 2026 didn't bring a rumor, it brought an accusation. Loud, direct, personal. Sauce Walka stepped into the spotlight, and he didn't whisper, he accused. And suddenly, what once looked like harmless preference started looking like a possible pattern the internet couldn't unsee. Now here's where the tension thickens. Sauce Walka wasn't just any customer throwing random shade. This was a man with over 2 decades tied into Johnny Dang's world. Millions spent, countless pieces made, a relationship built on consistency, not impulse. So when he jumped on Instagram Live and started talking, people didn't scroll past. They stopped. They listened. Because this didn't sound like someone guessing. It sounded like someone who had been watching, calculating, and finally decided to speak. But what exactly did he say? Not what people expected. He didn't scream fake in the way most people think. No claims of glass stones or cheap knockoffs. No. What he said was more dangerous than that. He suggested something that lives in the gray area, something harder to prove but even harder to ignore. He claimed the diamonds weren't what they were supposed to be. Not fake, but not exactly what he believed he paid for. And that subtle difference? That's where the entire narrative cracked open. Because in a culture where jewelry isn't just decoration, it's credibility, it's status, it's identity. Being told your ice isn't what you thought it was hits deeper than money. It hits reputation. And Sauce wasn't vague about it. He talked about lab-grown diamonds, CVD stones, visually identical to natural diamonds, chemically the same, but significantly cheaper. And the real accusation? Not about quality, but about transparency, about pricing, about whether clients were being told the full truth. And that's when everything started spiraling. Because within minutes, clips started circulating, edited, cropped, amplified. And guess which clip got pulled back into the chaos? Kodak's, that same Ig Live from 2024, the one where he laughed about not liking the grill. Suddenly, it wasn't a joke anymore. It was being framed like a warning. Like Kodak had known something and just didn't say it directly. But here's the uncomfortable truth nobody wanted to admit. Kodak never backed that narrative. Not once. No posts, no comments, no reactions. Silence, complete silence. And for someone like Kodak, someone who historically doesn't hold back when he feels wronged, that silence speaks louder than any accusation. Because this is a man who at 18 didn't even call the police when he thought his jewelry was stolen. He handled it himself, directly, aggressively. So if there was something real here, something personal, would he really stay quiet? That question lingers. It doesn't answer itself. It just sits there uncomfortable. Meanwhile, Johnny Dang wasn't staying silent, and when he responded, it wasn't polished, it wasn't calculated, it felt personal, because for him, this wasn't just about diamonds, it was about everything he built from nothing. A man who came to Houston in 1996, couldn't speak English, started from a flea market booth, and turned that into one of the most powerful names in hip-hop jewelry. That kind of story doesn't just defend itself, it fights back. So when he spoke, he didn't just deny, he reminded. He talked about history, about loyalty, about a 20-year relationship with Sauce Walka, about never giving anything for free and never asking for anything in return. He didn't attack the switching of jewelers, that wasn't the issue. The issue, according to him, was the public accusation, the disrespect, the way his name was being dragged into something that in his eyes didn't match the reality he had lived for decades. And then came the part that made things even more complicated. He didn't directly deny the lab-grown diamond claims. He brushed them off, called it internet noise, left it hanging. And that silence, that ambiguity, it didn't clear the air, it thickened it. Because sometimes what's not said carries more weight than what is. But here's where the story twists again, because this wasn't even the first time this exact conflict had surfaced. Same players, same tension, same accusations orbiting around the same ex-employee who had broken off and started his own path. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern repeating itself, unresolved, resurfacing louder each time. And in the middle of all this noise, all this chaos, all these voices getting louder, Kodak Black stayed exactly where he was, outside of it, watching, or maybe not watching at all. Because despite everything, despite the internet trying to rewrite his past reactions into present-day evidence, there is still no record, no lawsuit, no complaint, no public dispute linking him to any claim of fraud, deception, or wrongdoing involving Johnny Dang. Which brings us back to the beginning, that $50,000 grill. That moment people thought was the start of something bigger. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was exactly what Kodak said it was, a man changing his mind. Or maybe, just maybe, it was a moment that only made sense later, once the noise got loud enough for people to hear it differently. Because that's how stories like this evolve. Not in straight lines, but in echoes. A clip here, a comment there, a silence that feels louder than words. And suddenly, everything connects, even when it shouldn't. So what is this really? A misunderstanding blown out of proportion? A calculated narrative shaped by timing? Or a glimpse into something deeper that nobody has fully confirmed, but nobody can fully dismiss either? And the most unsettling part? Nobody has closed the case. Not Kodak, not Johnny Dang, not Sauce Walka. Which means this story isn't finished, it's just waiting.